Across the Fence, we're going big. We're going to learn about a one-of-a-kind tractor UVM Extension uses to help stem the tide of agricultural runoff and the impact it has on water quality. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. One of the many variables farmers face is weather. They can't control it, but farmers can strengthen their soils for whatever Mother Nature has in store. To keep their soils protected and profitable, more Vermont farmers are using cover crops. Growing these crops is a tall order, so UVM Extension is sending out its biggest tool to improve Vermont's water quality. Across the Fence's Keith Silva has our story.
One of the biggest environmental challenges facing Vermont is water quality. Big challenges require even bigger solutions. And if there's one thing to say about this Highboy tractor, it's big.
It's about 6'3" to 6'4" under the belly, and then the booms run about 9 feet in the air.
The only one of its kind in New England, the Highboy is the latest and largest tool in UVM Extension's toolbox to encourage and support farmers to use cover crops, the key strategy to improve water quality.
It's a high clearance spray rig that's been modified to spray cover crop seed onto corn crops, standing corn crops. So essentially what we do with it is we calibrate the sprayer to put on the right number of pounds of whatever mix we're using, and then we essentially use GPS to identify where in the field we've been and where we're going, and we drive up and down the corn rows spraying seed under the canopy. Typically the corn will be between 7 and 9, 10 feet tall, and the machine just rides in between the corn rows with the arms out, with the drop tubes down, and it just kind of goes over the top. It looks like it's kind of floating over the corn.
Cover cropping, like all farming, depends on timing. Cover crops are often planted either after harvest or as soon as the cash crop is established. The Highboy allows sanders to experiment with the timing of planting a cover crop. It also helps face other challenges, like Mother Nature.
Weather lays your best made plans in ruin. We have got other methods of cover cropping. We can interseed up to about 3 feet. That whole time period when we would have done that and wanted to that, it rained, and you can't interseed in the mud, so you can't do it. So you've missed that window. The Highboy is all about extending the window. Research has shown that it doesn't compete with a corn crop for nutrients because the corn is so far ahead of the cover crop that it's actually pulling nutrients from a different portion of the soil profile. So early season short is good, and then that window gets closed. Then we're into the 4 to 10 feet corn, and that's what this is for. And then after harvest is another window. The weather will only leave a couple of those windows open. You won't hit them all.
Farmers plant cover crops to halt erosion, manage nutrients, and increase soil health. When nutrients are taken up by the cover crop, they can't run off when it rains. Nutrient runoff is what impacts water quality in Lake Champlain, especially in northwestern Vermont, where Sanders is working.
Franklin County is like the 23rd highest producing corn silage county in the country. So we grow a lot of corn silage, which has a very unique set of problems with it. You're pulling all the residue off and you're really leaving the ground bare. Grain farmers, you have residue. Well, we don't grow a lot of grain, so the need for cover crops in Franklin County is very high.
The shallow areas in Lake Champlain, like Missisquoi Bay and St. Albans Bay, are susceptible to algae outbreaks. When excessive amounts of phosphorus and nitrogen, two nutrients found in agricultural runoff, combine with warm water temperatures, the results can be toxic.
UVM and the agriculture community is working very hard to try to address the issues with the lake. Farmers have $500 to $700 per acre invested in a corn crop that they're letting UVM drive a machine that they've never seen before over the top of. And there's risk involved with that. And they're taking that risk on to try to do their part. Farmers are very adamant about contributing to the solution. And the farmer letting us do this on a lot of acres to try to figure out what works best is a testament to their willingness to participate in the solution with the lake.
We're not trying to pollute a lake. We want to keep all our nutrients and everything. It costs you money to put them out there, so you want to keep them.
Larry Jarvis and his family operate one of the largest dairy farms in Vermont. He hosts field days at his farm so other farmers can see for themselves the kind of practices he's using to improve the soil and decrease his farm's impact on the lake. At the 2016 UVM Extension No-Till and Cover Crop Symposium, Jarvis took part in a panel to talk about the nutrient management practices that worked best on his farm.
And I've got 200 acres committed to the Highboy. And so he came onto our farm and we had different type of cover crop mixes, varieties with some radishes, clovers, winter rye, annual ryegrass. And we tried it in different fields because we want to be able to see it on a wide variety of soil types also. If you create a good environment for your soils via a cover crop, it's going to give you a great return. We always need to learn, go ahead and try different things that are going to help the environment, help your overall soil health, which in turn is going to help your production of your crops. And with the water quality issues that we're having, it's good for the public to understand that we're good stewards of the land. We want to keep everything intact, and it's a win-win for the public and the farmers themselves.
UVM Extension purchased the Highboy through a Natural Resources Conservation Service Conservation Innovation Grant. The flexibility and versatility the Highboy provides to farmers who want to use cover crops goes a long way to improving Vermont's agricultural and environmental resources.
UVM Extension has a huge investment in cover cropping, and this was kind of the logical next step for us to continue to expand our knowledge base. There's a lot of pressure on the agricultural community to do their part for cleaning up the lake. And one of those practices that has been identified is cover cropping to reduce erosion and help with nutrient uptake and build soil health, all good things.
Sure, the Highboy is big, but the impact it may have on Vermont farms and Lake Champlain is even bigger. In Swanton, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Well, Jeff and Larry are here in the studio. Thanks so much for coming in. So, Jeff, what's your research show on how well the Highboy is performing?
We just got the numbers in the last couple weeks, and we're showing a wide variety of results. Our highest, so in research we use dry matters, and we had dry matters as high as over 5,000 pounds to the acre dry matter on some fields. And then our lowest was like 450 pounds of dry matter. And so it's a wide range, and we're using this as an educational tool, and we're just learning how to do it better. And part of a very good research team between the Franklin County, Heather Darby's people, and Kirsten Workman and Jeff Carter. I would say we're leaders in the country as far as cover crop research. So.
Well, Larry, as we heard in the video, you used the Highboy to plant cover crops. How would you gauge the results?
Definitely mixed this first year. Didn't take as good as I thought it would have. There was a lot of different conditions. We had a lot of dry weather afterwards. And another challenge that I have, I do 20-inch corn rows, so the plants are 20-inch, most people are 30-inch, so it's a lot narrower, which gives Jeff a lot more challenge trying to get between the rows there to do the job right, but it also canopies over a lot more, so there's less sunlight that's able to get down in and through. So being able to have a tool like Jeff has, and we went to Indianapolis at a no-till conference, and we're finding different ways that maybe we should go a little bit earlier when there's more ability for the sunlight to penetrate down to get that cover crop started. And
So it's still kind of a work in progress.
definitely.
Absolutely.
And so is this something that other farmers are willing to take a risk on, or are they kind of waiting for more information back?
No, I think that farmers are definitely willing to participate. That's not really a problem. I think they're excited about the prospect of being able to do better. And I think the idea of cover cropping and not leaving your soil bare between cash crops is really taking hold. And the number of acres that people are cover cropping are going up almost exponentially every year. I think this year Vermont was at like 30,000 acres of cover crop, where 4 years ago we were like 1,000, 2,000 acres. Wow. So it's really catching on.
Is cover cropping profitable?
Definitely. It's hard to just go out and do it and think it's going to see what your value is. But you learn more about the cover cropping, because why do you do it? You know, is it because of water quality? But it's also to feed that soil biology underneath. It's kind of like, you know, as a dairy farmer, we're always paying attention to the dairy cow and her nutrition and making her work better to produce more milk. Well, you have to do the same theory with soil, feed that biology system that's below the soil surface that help unlock potential for the crops to uptake more nutrients.
And Heather's research shows that on average, you get a 2-ton yield boost in corn silage just by having cover crops on the field. So there's tangible economic value as well as the soil health and water quality.
Well, I would think that would be the huge thing, is to prove that not only is it good for the land, but it's also good for the bottom line.
Yeah.
And so what are some other practices that you use on your farm to maintain profitability and protect the environment?
So we've invested in a dragline manure system. We've done it 3 years now, and on the corn crops, we're injecting the manure into the soils, and the dragline system also helps not have so much compaction on your land, because you're not traveling with a heavy equipment to get rid of the manure. It's just basically a line that goes across with a tractor dragging it around. And my next step is to get a toolbar that's going to hopefully be able to have less impact on the soil, where I can just come in with a no-till and I won't disturb the soil more with tillage equipment.
And so I think it's interesting that, you know, a lot of people think that farmers are all about, you know, spreading manure the old way just to get rid of it. But in fact, it's a very valuable component for you.
Oh, definitely. And we have a couple dairies, and one of our dairies, we have a digester. And after the digestion process, we have a separator. We use the separated solids for the bedding for the animals. And then the liquid, which is a more available nitrogen in there, and it infiltrates into the soil better. It's a lot better product to use, and it's the organic matter that you're using. The recyclable process that you're using with the dairy cows in the soil.
Now, as far as the cover cropping goes, this is something that you're going to continue to work on?
Yes, yeah, we're actively engaged right now in getting ready for the upcoming season. We're sourcing seed and lining up how we're going to do things differently. Last year we found that the drought hurt us, and also the shading effect on certain species of cover crop didn't tolerate it well. So we're making adjustments to the plan and moving forward with that.
What are some of the questions that you get from farmers who might be interested in doing this?
We get questions like, will it work? when to do it? One question we get a lot is, what do I do with the cow manure if I cover crop? And so we are working through those things, and I suggest right now, if you can get your cover crop on, if you apply the manure on top, the actively growing cover crop will suck those nutrients right up. The key is getting the corn off in a timely manner, and timely is early September.
So it all depends on the timing very much.
It does.
And that can change with the weather?
Absolutely.
And also, on a larger farm, it's also a challenge, because you have a lot more acres that you try to put away, and that's why, you know, we're looking at a system. We do have a no-till grain drill, so when we get the corn crop off, we will drill the cover crop in. But with Jeff's system, it kind of balances the whole system, where you can put some acres in earlier, and go forth.
Well, to learn more about the Highboy and UVM research on crops and soils, visit the website for the Northwest Crops and Soils Program. That website's on your screen now. And you'll find research information as well as links to the team's blog, Facebook page, and contact information. I want to thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
That's our program for today. Thanks for watching. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.